everyone, how are we doing today?
Oh yeah, that's a good.
Oh, I like that ratio.
Yeah, that's a good image ratio.
That's a nice ratio.
Perfect.
Okay, perfect.
That way we don't disappear into the.
We like Kanji. They're good people.
They're awesome.
They have yet to treat us badly.
Exactly. Yeah.
We're gonna keep poking them until they do.
Uh-huh.
So we have decided to focus on the surviving production type panels. We used to do a lot of panels in like production to cosplay and a lot of prop building type panels. But at that time, there were very few people actually providing that. And now we see that a lot of what us Gen Xers have provided for fandom has definitely come to light.
Yep.
And you guys are doing great. We'll still talk about anything you want to talk about, you know, especially when it comes to how we did it on set and how you could probably do it in real life. But
Exactly, yeah.
You guys have been asking us for like set stories and stuff like that. And you're always asking us these questions. We have 36 years together in production and various. The video that's playing to the side is sections of previous promo videos where we've taken out, I think, all the cosplay. I don't know if we have. But when it's great when people say to us, so what's your favorite production? It's like 36 years.
Exactly.
Wow. You know, that's a long time. So I'm going to watch the comments down on Twitch.
Mhm.
Martin is watching the comments on TikTok.
So we are broadcasting this basically a screen view of the Twitch broadcast. We're broadcasting on our TikTok.
If you're not already following Kanji on TikTok, please do so, because then when they get to 1,000, they can do lives.
That's right.
So is all of this stuff that you've built? Kind of. Most of it, when it comes to larger productions, we're a part of a team.
Yeah.
And anything you see in any of our promos or videos, either Martin was part of it, I was part of it, or both of us was part of it.
Mm-hmm.
We at one time we had put up on an old web page a production list, and the production list was, you know, one production list for stuff we did together, one production list for stuff we did individual, and it became a mess. And we don't even know where those lists went. The file seems to be missing.
Yeah.
So we decided we'll put it all together, and if someone wants to say, was this specifically you, then we'll either say yes or no.
We can go into more detail that way, right?
But in the industry, Martin's specialty, like, I mean, we did a lot of multi-jobs prop makers do, but and special skills actors again too. But in our specialties, Martin's specialty was always electronics.
Yeah.
I mean, I could do electronics, but nowhere near what he does. Mm-hmm. And my specialty was always faux finishes. So making something plastic look like metal. Oops, there's a cosplay shot that didn't get taken out. Darn!
That's okay.
Making plastics look like metal and making something look like it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
So that's been our specialties. And people say, how do I get into prop making? Or I'm a cosplayer, I can be a costumer. The unfortunate thing is most people who are just getting into it now miss the hub. Like they missed that little pocket that was this little
peak.
Well, I wouldn't say it's a peak.
No.
Because there's still a lot of jobs. Like,
True.
I mean, we left the industry for mental health reasons.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But there's still a lot of jobs out there. But the way they're hiring, there was this spot where there's this little hub of resources that were predominantly hobbyists and you know, cosplayers and stuff like that. But now the industry is getting more and more focused on, they want you to have a portfolio, and they don't want it all to be some hobby thing, you know, at a convention. So independent film is picking up again, which is good, because independent film is a lot more expression.
Yeah.
But if you do indie film, be prepared for guerrilla shooting, which is go in, get the shot, get out. Before they catch you and find you, you know, or charge you.
Or at least how you leave, right? You know?
Yes. Yeah, there's that little pocket of people who got in by being cosplayers or hobby prop makers is fading fast. So if you want to, and you know, miniatures, if you want to do miniatures, take an architectural design course. That'll bump you ahead.
Yeah. Actually, a lot of model makers we work with in the past have done architectural design first and architectural modeling. So yeah, it's a big thing to do.
When it comes to faux finishes and painting, Yeah, always take pictures and video of what it looked like before you got your hands on it and what it looked like afterwards.
We admittedly don't get nearly enough pictures of the stuff we worked on. So this is a, you know,
and we found a whole bunch of pictures recently that I don't even remember what production it came
I
from.
know. Hey, yeah, exactly.
There's like a whole box of images that
Esquire S, how are you? Over on
we've
TikTok?
got some TikTok people coming in. We're not gonna recognize everyone this time because
No. Yeah.
we have the panel to focus on. Progress photos are so tough. They are, especially when something goes out really fast,
Yeah.
which was part of the mental health thing with us. I've actually been in the industry in one form or another since I was 8 years old. I'm now 55.
That's true. Yeah.
Damn. What happened? Where did it all go?
Time marches on.
But yeah, I was about 8 years old when I got into the industry as a kid reporter. And you got into theater back in Brantford when you were.
Well, I was in high school. I was part of the tech crew at school for the theater, school theater productions. Then got involved with community theater in Brantford. Did a lot of that sort of work, and that was before meeting Christina. And then everything kind of snowballed.
You went from small town
once I moved
theater
to Toronto, yeah,
to can't breathe, can't breathe, can't breathe.
exactly, yeah.
And that's the key thing is you got to love your art. You've got to really love your art. You've got to be doing it not for the money. And we did get to a point where we were highly successful, and we wound up doing it for the money. And it's like that art disappeared, even though we were still cosplaying to try to connect to that art. We were still. I can't say we spoiled ourselves. I can say we forgot our own rules.
Yeah.
You know, the hardest thing about this world is that reality that you don't work for 6 months a year. Once it all builds up, you're not employed. So you can skip around and go, I get $40 an hour, but you're getting $40 an hour for 6 months worth of work. And it's 24/7.
Yeah.
And then we were doing conventions. At that time, we were doing what, 9 conventions a year?
Yeah, between 6 and 9 conventions, depending on the year. Yeah.
Plus, we were running our own Renaissance Festival.
Yep.
Plus, we were doing 4 pirate festivals a year.
That's right. We were, yeah.
Plus. It's easy to get wrapped up. It's so easy to get pulled down that hole because you get so excited getting actually paid that it becomes a blur. And we lost our lives basically.
Yeah.
So the trick with surviving is to not lose you amongst it all. And you still have to make the customer happy. So that's why we're happy with our own little store now. And we're both on assistance for mental health, trying to find a place where there isn't a slumlord involved.
Yeah.
Art burnout is a mood. Which Ren Fair? We ran the BC Renaissance Festival.
Oh, out in Vancouver.
Yeah.
Vancouver area.
But we've been part of other people's Ren Fairs and pirate festivals for years. The hardest thing about British Columbia that we found from our experiences is, again, money. They're very focused on changing things all the time for the government, not necessarily for the audience.
Yeah.
We burnt the Ren Fair was part of our burnout because we were doing it for the audience, but we couldn't get the financial support. So we went to a co-producer path, and the co-producer took us for everything. So, you know, any kind of production, you have to remember, don't lose yourself. You lose yourself, there's a lot that can go wrong. We are proud of why is that sideways? Why did I put that sideways? That last frame was sideways.
Oh, was it? Oh, that. Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
I don't know. the burned out Android lying on its side.
But we were, for example, one of the most successful startup events in British Columbia when it came to numbers, when it came to structure, when it came to location, when it came to, but British Columbia seems to have a slightly different approach on success. You know that the expression that the more successful you are, the more people want to take over, not necessarily be part of. So you have to watch. There's 2 different types of supporters: ones that want to take over and ones that want to actually be part of your project in your world. Yeah, it's true, but we didn't think about it. We got so hyped up that yeah, we literally forgot all our own rules. And when we realized we couldn't do it in BC, and hormonally we were changing, yeah, we had to come back to Toronto. We had to come home, because I don't think we could have faced our mental health situation if we stayed out there.
Out there, no, there's not enough support. Oddly enough.
Well, there's a lot of support from American productions, but they come in,
Mhm.
they do the bit,
Yeah.
and then they leave.
Yeah, exactly.
So your support system goes away on a regular basis. Worse than, I mean, when we started in Toronto on large productions, it was, you still had the people you worked with, and we still got together and we still talked. And British Columbia seems to be a lot of productions done. We're going to miss each other. And 90% of us are Americans, so we're going home.
Yeah.
And it felt so empty, and it's a beautiful province. Don't knock it. If any of you decide to go to BC to be part of production, you got that chance, take it. But my recommendation is, unless you're there for something that's going to continue on, or you have such a specialty skill that you can go from production to production without a hiccup, come home. Make sure you have grounds here. Like, don't abandon everything here. Leave some stuff here. Leave your, same with LA. A lot of you, if you're able to work down in Los Angeles, that's great, but make sure you still have something at home, wherever home is.
Exactly. Somewhere basically to return to, as a safety margin. Yeah.
Because you're not, if everything falls apart, which in this industry it often does, it's gonna eat you up. And we've met so many people who are like, oh, I can buy the big TVs now and the fancy car and the bank still took our hybrid.
Yeah, they did.
It really is a roller coaster ride. Thank God I love my team. Yeah, exactly. And you see, and this is the nice thing, is when you develop a good team, you can move it from event to event, or you can, they'll be there next time. But when you start, and that was one of the biggest problems too, is our team was part of everything.
Yeah.
We had the big production team, and then we had the everything else team. And it was just a blur. I mean, we were somewhere amongst all those people, losing our identity every year.
Yeah, exactly. It was hard to find like us within all of that, and that was a big part of the burnout.
And we've lost a lot of friends. It is real. It is real. And you have to learn how to do that. And all those people, I admire you all for saying, then the person wasn't a friend in the first place. But in this kind of world, in this kind of industry, in this kind of artistic expression, they were your friends. They were your friends for the time that you were in that place. Just they're not moving alongside you. And if you keep your mind open to that, one day they may be your friends again. One day, maybe not. Social media has changed the nature of friendships as well, which is tough, because it makes it cold. It makes it empty. It makes it, it's hard. It's very, very, very difficult. Can still have burnout. We have 7 to 9 staff for in-person Conji, 1,200 attendance the last year.
Yeah, and that's a lot of people for 7 to 9 people to manage.
Yeah, well, I remember Toronto Trek.
Yeah, well, Toronto Trek at its peak, I think it was 92 or something like that, it was 6,000 people. And for back then, that was a huge con. That was one of the biggest cons in North America. And the team running it was huge, between the ConCom members and their assistants, like their department heads and assistants and all that sort of thing. And it was a lot of work to manage that big an event.
Whoops, some cosplay got in there.
A little bit, yep.
Next time I create a video that isn't taking stuff out, but putting
exactly.
stuff in.
But they do kind of go hand in hand. I mean, some of the techniques we develop doing our cosplays, we end up using those techniques in a lot of film stuff, and vice versa. Things we learned while building stuff for film, we're like, oh, hey, we could adapt this to cosplay, but at a lower budget.
It's quite a reality, you know, to try to deal with it and feel it and keep yourself amongst it all.
Mhm.
I guess the set stories we're most asked about is the Stargate.
Stargate, yeah.
Um,
That's one of
the
the
gate
longest
itself.
one of the longest productions that we've worked on. Mhm.
You mostly worked.
Mostly
I
me. I
just
mean,
came
Christina
in
was
every once
brought
in
in
a
as,
while.
as an assistant every once in a while when we were at a point where there's too many projects to be done by the team that's in there, and they needed those extra floaters. And we bring in floaters from all over the place. Christina was one of the
Floaters
one
are
of those
not a
stars.
bad way to
Yeah,
start.
sure,
Or
yeah.
if you just don't want to spend that amount of time,
Mhm.
you know, go after the shops and make yourself a floater. Or IATSE is the union to be in because they don't expect you. You only get your benefits if you clock so many hours.
Yeah.
So if you don't clock, like we're still IATSE members and we haven't worked directly as IATSE members in the industry in like 2 years now. 3 years?
More like 4.
Really?
Yeah.
Ouch. I lost track of time. But we're still IATSE members. We can still apply to an IATSE set. So you can do that. And IATSE covers, geez, practically everything. Sets, props.
Well, yeah, lighting and electrics and greens and oh my God,
Sound.
pretty much every aspect of the production day. And then Teamsters is the other union. They handle all the transport, the trucks and everything else. And then you get the Directors Guild, which is basically the director, the assistant director, the script supervisor, and all that sort of thing are all in that guild. So there's a lot that goes into putting a production together. You know.
Yeah. So yeah,
it's pretty big.
those are good ways to do it. Don't jump in like we did.
Mhm.
That's now, if you think you can handle it, that's great. Have the experience and make your own conclusions. We're not going to insist that people do or do not do what we did.
Yeah,
There is no try.
Do or do not. There is no try. That is Master Yoda.
He's somewhere over there. We don't need him for this one. But yeah, it's a great rush, and people keep asking us whether or not we'll go back.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know.
We don't know.
We're not predicting anymore.
We got to focus on the here and now. Right now.
Doesn't mean we're not dreaming.
Yeah.
But we're not predicting anymore.
Makes sense.
So Stargate, you were part of the main design crew for the Atlantis and the
Universe
Gates.
Yeah. The original SG-1 Stargate was actually bits and pieces of the movie Stargate that were added to it. That was long before I got involved in the show. But yeah, one of the first projects I did work on was the Atlantis Gate through an outside shop, and then joining the Stargate team itself in the model shop. Eventually working on the Universe Gate, but so many other projects during those 6 years.
Now, my favorite part about the Atlantis Gate is the fact that it falls into the floor.
Yes, it drops into the floor. So anyone who's watched Stargate Atlantis, you'll see the gate room, right, with the big, beautiful blue gate with all the lights and everything on it. And then you'll see the cargo bay, which is exactly the same room, but there's no Stargate because they lower the Stargate into a pocket in the floor, put a bunch of panels back on top of it, and they use it for something else. And then when they're ready to do the Stargate, they lift the panels off, crank the gate back up again, lock it in place, put the panels back down on the floor, and voila, it's a different room.
So you'll notice every large room that has stairs going down to it has a ring on the floor. You know, it's one of those hide it by making it obvious.
Exactly, yeah.
And of course, the original gate was having such a hard time.
That's true, yeah.
All the footage is backwards.
Yeah. So any footage where it's stopping on symbols, they had to shoot that backwards because they couldn't get it to stop on the symbols anymore. It was just so old and everything was wearing out.
Do you want to break it to them as to what happened to the original gate?
The SG-1 gate. This is a really sad story. When Stargate SG-1 was finally wrapped after 10 seasons, MGM in LA was negotiating with the Smithsonian to actually purchase the Stargate itself, have it disassembled, have it reassembled at the Smithsonian in their sort of science fiction and pop culture and everything exhibits, to be immortalized there, along with a lot of other stuff. While the local producers in Vancouver, they were on a time crunch because the studio that they were leasing had been leasing for 10 years, wanted them off as quickly as possible so that they could use the studios for other productions. So the local producers said, well, we don't have time for this negotiation that's going on south of the border. We're going to chop the gate into pieces. So they basically brought in a demolition crew and heavy machinery and cut it up into little tiny pieces and threw it in the dumpster. That did not go over well with MGM down in the States, but
Didn't go over well with us.
Didn't go over well with anyone really. As soon as the word got out about that was just it was terrible.
Yeah.
So, but what can you do? It was in the dumpster, it was gone, and the other shows were still going. Atlantis was still running. At that point, I think they were just starting to work on developing Stargate Universe. So that was the priority then, was to build a new Stargate for Stargate Universe.
But it was so upsetting.
Yeah.
And then when everything wrapped, the producers came in, and like when all, the final days on Universe, and there was only one producer left.
Mm-hmm.
And he came in and took all the samples, and we were able to sneak a couple out. That's a paint, and that's one of the canopic jars.
Yeah.
So we were able to sneak, a few things from the shop out that they didn't notice missing. But you're not supposed to do that. But, we were not happy with the way it was being handled. We were used to, in the past, sometimes you get a gift. Sometimes it's going into a producer's collection. But no, he was determined to make back the money he lost by just snatching everything. And even our bosses didn't get their samples, which normally the bosses get things. We maybe get something if it's left.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But or if it's a gift. But even they didn't get anything really.
Basically, we were locked out of the shop for like a week or two while the producer brought an auction company in to catalog everything, and then they loaded it all up in trucks and took it away.
It was devastating. I've never been and that was like the best family we've ever had.
Oh yeah, it was tremendous. We went to Mexico with a bunch of the coworkers, right?
Yeah, we do these group outings, so it would be cheap.
Mm-hmm. Go to movies together because, when it comes to all of our other friends outside of the industry, within the industry, we all had the same schedule. We knew what days we all had off. We knew what when the down period was between seasons, right, during the winter.
Yeah,
so it's okay, well, we're done our shift. We want to go see a movie together, because none of us want to sleep right now. We're also hyped up from wired and stuff like that from being on set or whatever.
I mean, don't go to a movie with us if we worked on it. Or let us go twice without you.
That's true. So we can get all out of our system commenting about.
Because we'll sit there and go, "Oh my God, that paint job did not work out the way I thought it would."
Or wait a minute, we spent months on that thing. It got 3.5 seconds of screen time. Oh, that brings a funny Stargate story. The one TV movie, Stargate, The Ark of Truth.
Oh my God, the Ark of Lies.
The Ark of Lies.
Yes.
We started nicknaming it the Ark of Truth. So this is the title prop. It's like a Ark of the Covenant kind of thing, ancient alien technology. It was through so many design revisions and back and forth between the art department, the producers, the directors, the production manager, getting feedback from the model shop, from us. It was the absolute last set of drawings we got for the show. We had 2 weeks to build the entire Ark of Truth, which was this massive thing, had all sorts of stuff had to happen with it, mechanical things and internal stuff. And we had the least amount of time to build that thing. The signature title prop of the show.
Yeah. And they just kept changing their minds.
Yeah.
Which is how we started calling it the Ark of Lies.
Exactly.
You saw some of the Adam suit there. Yes. Visit Kanji's Ko-fi. We are also on Ko-fi.
Yep.
We are also, you can find us on Linktree as Carhunger, CARRHUNGER. Sorry. They filmed Nikita at my work and shot for half the day for like 1 minute of film. Exactly. Yeah, we worked on Nikita too.
Yeah.
Nikita was a great production, but some of the actors were a little over foolish with their props, and same with Total Recall too.
Total Recall and on Earth Final Conflict.
Earth Final Conflict. Yeah, it was like just there was that pocket of time where the actors were like, it's like the actors didn't care back then.
Yeah, and that was back in the day when most hand props were most of the hero props were hand built. There were really 3D printers. The CNC machines were extremely expensive, so most shops couldn't afford them. So we were hand building everything, you know,
hand casting.
Yeah,
you know, yeah.
Make something, make a mold, so we can make multiples of it, that sort of thing. You know, so it, yeah,
it was tough.
There were a lot more delicate props back then, you know.
But yeah, they break all the time. But you saw the Atom suit there. We are happy to show people all the footage. We can't give you copies of the footage. But things like that if we've got footage of, or if you want to spend some time, you see us at a con, you want to spend some time talking, we're happy to talk about it, because we're at that point, like, encourage people to have us as guests so we can be there without spending so much money. Do we like... It's Lex loving the panel. Thank you so much. So do you like the 3D printing phenomenon? Yes and no.
Yes and no. There is a place for it. We feel a lot of people overuse the concept of 3D printing. It's like, oh yeah, we'll just 3D print that. We'll 3D print that. Well, sometimes it's better to hand fabricate something or get it machined. You know, and there's laser cutters, and there's lots of other options for creating.
I can't fathom spending $300 on a 3D printer. They're finicky, they're touchy, they're not accurate, they don't stay aligned.
In other words, spending as little as $300 on a 3D printer.
Yeah. Ours is worth over $1,000. We finally got an investor in the company, so we don't have to keep struggling with, and we owe them a percentage of our sales. He's going to wait to get the printer paid back. So he understands that there's a mental health situation. He wants to help because he's a fellow artist as well, as a business person type. But yeah, he got us this printer, and we're actually getting things done.
Yeah. The previous printer we had, we spent $300 on it, and it failed like 30% of the time. We're constantly throwing out prints because they wouldn't work. This one, we've maybe had 2 or 3 failures, and they were mostly because it's something we overlooked when we were setting it up for the print.
But it's really difficult because, like, I mean, we did some dice towers. We're going to switch out. We've got this little table at the Maker's Market just to kind of, have a spot to switch out stuff we're experimenting with. And we're going to switch for some D&D magnets and some D&D dice towers. We're going to switch them out at the Maker's Market. Right now we've had things like the Mechanaries, the little birds and stuff like that. So we're going to pull them because we're going to bring them to Fernal Equinox. We're sharing a table with a friend. He wants to help us to see if there's a market. Yeah, we're doing that. But yeah, like, I mean, once I hand painted the dice towers, they'll look like brick. Once the video stopped. Play it again, Sam. There we go. Once we put the dragon on top, once we put all the little gems on the spines, we're talking $70 dice towers. But people are selling them just printed for like $15. There's no, like, I mean, there's even a young lady doing 3D printed stuff, and she's getting the silk, and her parents are paying for it in the same market. Her parents are paid for the 3D printer. She's got 4 or 5 of them. They're the cheaper machines. They bought her the filament because they're teaching her to have a small business. Well, she's selling something for $5 because that's the value of the filament
material.
That's not
only the material.
That's not teaching her anything really, because there's no overhead. There's no, so things like this, it's like the cricket world, right? People are doing tiny markups so they can compete with each other, but they never really make back their cricket machines. They never really make back their value. So it's, when things like this become popular as artists, it's very difficult. It's very, very difficult. What is your favorite medium to build with?
Wow. Do we have a favorite medium? Because it varies. It varies extensively.
Well, paints for me.
Paints are your favorite, yeah.
But I've fallen back in love with paper mache.
That's true, yeah.
I've fallen back in love with the original artist that started years ago. And at first I was embarrassed, but when I realized that what I was doing originally when I started was what's considered now. Back then it was just paper mache. No one did it differently. It was paper mache art. Now it's professional paper mache. And it takes a long time to do, but the product is solid. I'd love to do some more. I'm hoping before Fernal to be able to do some paper mache masks that aren't as extensive as the heads I've been building all these years. But I've fallen back in love with making a mess of myself and doing paper mache. And I still love doing fake finishes. Like, can you tell from those two weapons which one is the original metal prop with the wooden handle and which one is the sun devil that I painted? Right.
Which is all basically soft rubber.
So basically, if I can make a mess of myself, I'm happy. The clays and paints and
Me, I guess I do like working with ABS plastics, like a lot of whether it's hand cut material or whether it's laser cut, you know, gluing things together, doing the sort of mechanical aspect of a lot of it is, I think, one of my favorite things to do.
well, you want to figure out how to take a paper, because I've now decided what persona I'm going to do.
Right.
Like we've been doing the gods thing.
Yeah.
I want to find like an outfit that's like a really thin velour. That's as just as metallic, basically make it look like my segment look like a statue.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Obviously the fabric dress is going to be fabric, but I'd like to complete that statue look. But now that you and I have picked what we want as our personas, Martin, please. Martin.
Oh, refresh.
You know, Martin was talking
Okay.
about trying to figure out how to make
back
one of
on
my mache creations to have a moving jaw.
Mhm.
And it would be great if one day we can get to the blinking eyes thing, because you know the what were they called in Stargate?
With the
The furlings.
the
That's
furlings. furlings.
it.
You've seen them in the video. They'll probably circle around shortly too. They're like little
It's
koala,
possible.
little koala characters. Right? And the furlings were mentioned way back early on in the Stargate days, but they were never actually brought to camera until the 200th episode. And that was quite a project to do, you know.
Martin is very technical. Like, I mean, he can still, to a certain degree, draw a straight line without a ruler. But you give him something to make a fake finish, he can't do it because his brain is too accurate.
I don't have that organic process going on in my head.
So as long as
I'm digital.
as long as we feel good about doing what we do, then I think we can stay together and not kill each other.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or ourselves for that matter. Yeah.
Now, and the hard thing too is I'm in menopause now. So I've got to rethink all these creations to cater to the fact that I can have a flash, you know, a hot flash at any second and go down.
Mm-hmm.
So now it's a matter, like we've proposed to Anime North, if anyone wants to encourage them to let us do this, we proposed to Anime North that we would like to do a prop making competition. And we would like to get the hotel room, and we would like to have enough space to not only do the competition, but, you know, but have a little sales corner so we can kind of make our own money as an appearance fee. And provide some guidance for people who want to, instead of, you know, we still want to do some panels, but we have our other investor who's also a photographer in on it as well. So if they can approve that, I don't know if anyone wants to sponsor us, you know, that's fine too, but we want to take a different direction on this. We want to be able to have a competition. We want to be able to approach Smooth On for prizes. We want to be able to approach Adreno for prize. We want to Adreno for prizes. We want to approach these companies for prizes, and we need that time. Again, there's a lot of rumors. There's a lot of crud. There's a lot of, and we've been on ConComs for many, many years.
Our guest speaker has arrived.
Yes. Oh, you're late. You are late. Yes, you. I built a paper mache mask with a moving jaw in 1995. Okay.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Did you do it with, like, did you do it like anyone would with the plastic, and how long did it last?
So as I assume, being moved by your chin, right? By your actual mouth movements, right? Pardon me.
I partially just want to be able to open my mouth and get some air in there because I went and chose eyes that block any airflow.
Yeah.
Menopausal woman. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, I want it to be able to last. And that's the biggest thing is we're used to doing moving stuff with plastics. What I may do is the paper mache on top, and a plastic jaw below. But we haven't decided yet. You already have almost finished the 2 foxes we were going to do.
Yes.
In 3D print, but our 3D printer is not big enough, so now you have to redesign it.
Yeah,
At the time we had access to a larger printer.
We did, yeah. So we have to determine whether or not it will actually fit at whatever angle, or whether we have to split the mask up a little bit.
Oh,
and now he's left.
He's left.
We didn't give him enough attention. Yeah.
Damn cats. Always rubbing against us. Just...
There's the furlings.
There's the furlings. Yeah, so those were electronic eyes and stuff. And
they're like servo eyelids
and the
ears. The mouth was actually operated by the actor.
But
the furlings, I don't think the furlings actually spoke in the episode.
Didn't they? I thought they
Or
did.
maybe they did.
I don't remember. Oh, it looks like the next door neighbor and her boyfriend.
Possibly.
Locks.
Actually, there's a lot of people out there.
Okay, it was the big bad wolf, and my hubby was Goldilocks. Oh my God, awesome! Lasted 25 years. It didn't survive the kids.
Oh no.
Oh, I've lost now. I think they did. What was the last thing?
Probably the furlings speaking.
Oh yeah.
Because they only showed up in the 200th episode. There were like 2 scenes with them, with the SG-1 team out in like the wilderness with overlooking the furling city, and then another
and
shot.
And then we dressed them in Jafar.
We dressed because we had one furling at the shop still afterwards.
In the display room.
We put it in Jaffa armor with one of the Jaffa staffs and everything. It was hilarious. I don't know if there's pictures of that. There's pictures somewhere.
My
right?
pictures wound up out there to a point where they're no longer credited to me, but I'm fine with that.
Yeah. It was funny.
The pictures Gord took.
Out
there.
Gord was the model shop coordinator at the on Stargate for most of the run of the shows.
Yeah, so those are out there. I've seen them on other people's pages. They've trickled out.
Yeah.
Now that it's easier to get copies of things like that, right? So they've trickled out.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, encourage, we would love to do more cons in that format. We would love to be able to run prop making. If we have prop making competitions, we'd also like to offer to anyone who joins the competition, basically the critiques. So Martin and I are going to critique on any movement, any mechanics, anything like that. If I'm doing any movement in a head that's mechanical, I'd like to be able to invest in things like small motors and stuff. So that's something we want to get to, so we can critique better with more up-to-date motors than what we did for the furlings. So we want to provide critique letters for you, very honest, straightforward critique letters. And our partner, who's another Chris, it wants to do take photos of you with your prop, and take photos of take photos of them around. So did your paint job show up well on a camera? Did your does it show up well on video? So he wants to do that part, and he'll tell you whether or not how it came out on camera. He'll give you copies of the photos. All participants will get that. It's just the winners will get whatever we can get sponsored and for prizes. We could probably see if we can find a 3D filament sponsor.
Yeah.
A local 3D filament sponsor.
Yep.
Right. So, so those are the things we want to do for you guys now. But we need you guys to speak up at conventions or to conventions to say that's what you want from us.
Yeah.
But I noticed, there's a lot of model contests, but there's not enough. Where are you going with this? People always said, how do you guys win every masquerade? We only compete with ourselves.
Yeah.
We never competed with any. In our brains, we never competed. We just And the number of masquerades we've joined because they've said, we only have one master. Okay, fine.
All right.
And people are like, oh, you should have gotten first place. And I'm sitting there going, no, we got third on purpose.
Mhm.
They wanted to fill out the master category, so we threw ourselves in.
We weren't interested in getting in going.
Great that we got third.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We got something. We got a little ribbon. That's fab. We got a little ribbon.
A little ribbon. Look at that. A little ribbon. Wonder where that came from. G ribbon.
Props are usually judged at the masquerade. Not really. They're judged in your cosplay aspect.
Yeah.
They're not judged on an industry level.
Yeah. So what we want to do is do like a prop building competition for people who are interested in possibly getting into the entertainment industry as prop makers
or want to up their game as cosplayers.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's more in comparison to production, not other cosplayers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So if you want to know whether or not what you built would actually be used in a production, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people kept telling us that we should build R2-D2s for Star Wars. No. Our droid would have overheated within the first 5 minutes.
Oh yeah, because we tried to put everything in that all like 18 different versions of R2 that are used in the film.
That is not a movie prop. That's an in-person prop.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we mean. Which production was the last one you guys worked on, or was it pandemic closed?
Let's see. We built those pistols that you were saying that we did the stunt replicas of.
Pistols and
that was for, and the wristbands, that was for Star Trek Discovery. The pistols, the stunt doubles were done during the pandemic when they were just starting to come back. The other ones were done pre-pandemic, and the last show that I worked on in construction was the Advance, and that was just before the pandemic shut everything down, before the mental health struggles really started taking,
and I was in and out of the hospital, so the that's a different story altogether.
Mm-hmm.
But I was in and out of the hospital, so I just did the at home stuff, the art. When we had a little shop here for a while and access to a friend's larger shop.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I did a lot of the Discovery stuff because we could do it within our space. I didn't really do any set work. We did a little LSP, and when we're in the mood, we still do a little LSP, which is basically when you think about it, on set security in some ways.
Location services, basically.
And so we'll do that every once in a while. Because we do miss being on set, and we do miss, production people.
Mm-hmm.
And LSP is the kind of thing that you could do for a week or two and then not do for 6 months because you didn't feel like it. And it doesn't interfere with our mental health struggle. So I guess the last LSP gig we did was last year.
It was last year. Oh, it was the one, I can't remember what the show was, but we were stationed behind the Meridian Center in North York. Was that the one, or was it a different one?
I think it was a different. What was the one in the park with the time travel gateway? They had a camp set up. See, half the times we forget too, because you do so many when you do this.
A camp set up. Oh, with the tent and the campground and that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
that was out in Rockwood. That was by the mill ruins, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was Lock and Key.
Oh,
yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Then we did some Chucky for a while.
A couple of episodes of Chucky. And basically we're coming in, we're keeping an eye on the traffic cones that are blocking off parking areas so that, public vehicles can't park where the work trucks are going to be moving into and that sort of stuff. Or we're keeping an eye on the washroom trailer or heavy equipment and whatever so that, people don't come and mess with them overnight and stuff like that.
And I like the overnight shifts too, because being menopausal, I don't sleep anyway.
Yeah. Boy, yeah.
7 a.m. when I fell asleep this morning.
She finally went to bed at what? You went to bed at 3. I went to bed at 2. She didn't get to sleep until 7 a.m. So that's 4 hours of tossing and turning. So
is anything happening over there?
A lot of people joining. A few likes here and there.
Bed at 3, up at 7. Yeah. Yeah. And it's sometimes I mean, when you do a con, you have to be up, which is why a lot of times when you guys see us at cons, the agreement is usually that Martin is guaranteed to show up in the morning.
Yep. And Christina will come stumbling in shortly afterwards.
Which is why panels are never earlier than 11.
Yeah.
We've had that stipulation with conventions for years.
Years now, yeah.
Especially when we were on ConCom for Grand Track. It was like I had like 5-6 jobs, and
Yep.
I had a friend gave me a button the one year that I killed myself at the con, so to speak. And yeah, it was it said stop me before I volunteer again, because I died that year. I just put the link tree in the comments. Please feel free to get a hold of us, and we've got some Ko-fi plans coming up, but we're just getting through some mental health struggles, so we're cutting our stuff in half. And yes, please do, if you want the prop competition, we need to know from Anime North very soon. So encourage them and other cons to do that for us.
Absolutely.
And Con G talked to us later about the in-person one. I didn't realize it was still around.
No, it's
that
not.
was the last one they
It's
had
not.
before
The last one,
pandemic.
it's not at all.
Yeah.
Oh,
No.
before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Really?
No. The last year was 2014.
Oh,
14.
wow.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I had kids and got married and a bunch of other stuff. And then we hit a pandemic and I got really bored.
So it's like, let's start this back up again.
Yeah, pretty much.
See all the things we missed while
Well,
we're
and she didn't just have kids. She had a fairy.
She had a little.
Oh,
fairy.
I did have a fairy. Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much, guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Good luck on the next ones.